Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
Now, notice Danny's precision here. He's asking Peterson to be very clear. This is vital, it's extremely important, because it prevents Peterson from later claiming his definition was misunderstood. He's saying, plant your flag for all to see.
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Perfect. We have a clear, simple definition. 3 components. Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for. Danny confirms.
Okay, that's it. That's your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
So Peterson himself confirms this definition is sufficient for their discussion. To worship something is to attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Now let's watch Danny test it.
Okay, do Catholics attend to Mary?
Well, yes.
Okay, so do they fit that description of worship?
Yes.
Alrighty, big statement from Peterson there. He just said that Catholics worship Mary. But here's the problem. Catholics have a strict theological doctrine. The worship, latria, is for God alone. Mary receives veneration, hypodulia, but explicitly not worship. This is fundamental Catholic theology, and it's a commitment that Jordan does not want to make. You see, he's perfectly fine insisting that atheists worship, that we pray or what have you, but he can't say that Catholics worship Mary, as this would alienate a huge chunk of his base. It would risk offending folks that buy his books. So, Danny goes on the attack.
So you would say Catholics and other people that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the highest
But
place.
you would put it that way.
No.
Succinct and brilliant. Peterson just said that Catholics fit his definition of worship regarding Mary. Now he's saying he wouldn't say they worship Mary. Danny catches this immediately.
But you would put it that way.
No.
You just said it.
But watch what happens next. Peterson can't just admit that his definition is flawed. He can't just say, alright, fair enough, you're right, my definition leads to Catholics worshipping Mary, which they explicitly reject. Instead, he retreats.
There's still a hierarchy.
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary
below.
is quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Do you see what's happening? Peterson is now adding elements to his definition that weren't there before. Hierarchy, something at the top. Where was any of this in attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for?
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Relentless, having none of it, Danny sees exactly what's happening and goes straight for the jugular.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to,
Attend to.
prioritize,
Do
and
Catholics
sacrifice for.
What do Catholics attend to? Do they prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, I didn't say overall, did I? I didn't add that to my definition.
You understand.
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You attend to
So you can attend to something trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
This is beautiful. Danny is methodologically showing that Peterson is indeed retroactively adding qualifications. Now we've got trivially versus deeply, but that wasn't in the original definition either. Danny then delivers the killing blow.
Now you're adding stuff to the definition.
And this, right here, is the motte-and-bailey fallacy caught red-handed. But to fully appreciate what Danny just did, we need to understand how this fallacy works. So let me give it to you. The motte-and-bailey fallacy is named after a medieval castle design, a beautiful castle design, by the way. We have plenty in England. You have a castle with 2 parts. The bailey is the courtyard. It's where everyone wants to be. It's spacious, it's productive, where all the interesting activity is happening. You've got your blacksmith, your market, your living quarters. But here's the thing. When the barbarians come knocking, the bailey is very hard to defend. It's out in the open, it's vulnerable to attack. The motte is the raised fortification with the keep, the tower on the hill. It's cramped, it's unpleasant, basically a last resort, but it's incredibly easy to defend. When enemies attack, everyone retreats from the bailey up to the motte until the danger passes. Well, in argumentation, it works exactly the same. You make a bold, exciting claim, that's your bailey, but when someone challenges it, you retreat to a boring defensive position, your motte. Then, and here is the key part, you act like your motte was your position all along. And the moment your challenger leaves, you're right back in the bailey. making the same bold claims as before. Let me give you a simple example. Suppose I was to claim that alternative medicine is just as effective as conventional medicine. That's my Bailey. It's exciting, it's controversial, it sells books, it gets me on Joe Rogan. People love it. I'm fighting the establishment, baby. Support me on Patreon. But then you challenge me. What about cancer? What about broken bones? What about infections that need antibiotics? Pressured, I retreat to the mott. All I'm saying is that the mind-body connection is really important for healing, and that doctors should listen more. Okay, who disagrees with that? Nobody. It's so obvious, it's boring. But that's not what I was selling. That's not what got me the book deal. And of course, the moment you leave, I will be right back at it, claiming that crystals cure cancer. You see, the trick isn't just the retreat, it's in gaslighting your interlocutor into thinking that there was no retreat at all. Seriously, my dude, you're so triggered, right? Like, this is quite emotional for you. You're not actually listening to me, you know? It's very low resolution thinking on your part.
Low resolution thinking that just gets us absolutely nowhere.
Let's now appreciate how Peterson just executed this fallacy with Danny. The Bailey was his clear testable definition. Worship equals attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for. This is exciting. It would mean that atheists worship without knowing it.
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
But then Danny simply applied this definition to Catholics and Mary. Do Catholics attend to Mary? Yes. Do they prioritize her? Yes. Do they sacrifice for her? Yes. Therefore, by Peterson's own definition, Catholics worship Mary.
Do they fit that description of worship?
Yes.
That's a problem, though, isn't it? Peterson doesn't want to say that Catholics worship Mary, since they have 2,000 years of explicit teaching that worship is for God alone. Catholics would be horrified by this conclusion. So what does Peterson do? He can't defend the Bailey, it's theologically indefensible, but he can't abandon it either. That would mean admitting that he was wrong. And so the retreat began.
There's still a hierarchy. There's something at the top. So you can attend to something trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
Suddenly, there's a hierarchy. There's something at the top. You can attend to things trivially or deeply. Where did all these qualifications come from? They weren't in the original definition. And that's because these aren't clarifications, they're fortifications. He's building his mott in real time, adding walls and qualifications to protect himself from Danny's attack. But Danny didn't have any of it, did he? He didn't let Peterson pretend the retreat isn't happening.
Now you're adding stuff to the definition.
That was Danny shouting it out loud. I see you running from the Bailey to the mott. I see what you're doing. He called out not just the contradiction, but the escape path. He caught Peterson in the act, and he didn't much appreciate that, did he?
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
Danny, come on, man. He is something. He's Schrodinger's Christian. The second you try to observe his beliefs, they're gone.
I'm done with him.
So, as said, this motte-and-bailey shuffle is Peterson's bread and butter. You see, Peterson has mastered the art of using vague, difficult to define words precisely because they give him escape routes.
Self-evident moral presuppositions are necessarily nested inside this broader narrative metaphorical substrate.
When he equivocates with the words God or worship or belief or truth, he's not, at least in my opinion, being imprecise by accident. These slippery terms are his transportation system between the Bailey and the mott. That's why he's always saying, well, it depends on what you mean by.
It depends on how you define your benefit. It depends on what you mean by valid. It depends on what you mean by happy. It depends on what you mean by belief.
That phrase, that's literally the sound of him retreating from the Bailey to the mott. It depends on what you mean by God. It depends on what you mean by religion. It depends on what you mean by truth. It depends on what you mean by is.
What do you mean do? What do you mean you? What do you mean believe? And what do you mean God?
This is his equivocation engine, and normally it works brilliantly. In a typical interview, he can spend 20 minutes taking you on a journey through Jung, Dostoevsky, evolutionary psychology, and ancient mythology until you've completely forgotten what his original claim was. By the time he's done, you're not even sure about what you were disagreeing about. But the Jubilee format, it's as if they accidentally built a perfect Jordan Peterson trap. Here's why. Every 5 to 10 minutes, he has to reset. A new challenger sits down. And they're dealing with the exact same provocative claim, the Bailey, that got everyone's attention in the first place. Atheists reject God, but they don't understand what they're rejecting. It's bold, it's controversial, it's exciting. But here's the killer. He has almost no time to maneuver them away from attacking his Bailey. No time for the usual smoke and mirrors. No time for making them forget what they came to challenge. It's like forcing a magician to perform the same trick over and over again. You know what happens? The sleight of hand becomes obvious, the pattern emerges, the magic disappears. And look, I'm not saying that Peterson is necessarily doing this intentionally. I don't know. Maybe he genuinely believes he's clarifying rather than retreating. But it doesn't matter. A trick is a trick, whether the performer knows it or not.
I'm not retreating at all. I'm advancing, sir. You are retreating.